And in another area, blockbuster news in Baltimore, Maryland, lawyers for the 6 police officers indicted in the arrest and death of Freddie Gray now calling for Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby to be kicked off the case. The newly released motion saying a prosecutor who exercises her discretion in a manner contrary to ethical standards creates a fatal defect in the accusatory phase of the criminal prosecution. The on-the-record legal panel joined us former homicide detective and criminal defense attorney Ted Williams, former prosecutor Katie Phang. Ted, first to you. Should she get booted from the case?
Well,
or quit, or leave her? She can do it voluntarily, too.
No, let me say absolutely. I think she should. This is a prosecution imploding. We've got a woman who filed charges. Now, this is what we've learned today. She asked law enforcement to go out into this high crime area, and the police, they're out there policing. They see Freddie Gray run. They chase after Freddie Gray, and something happens.
Let me just stop to clarify. It says here, according to the Baltimore Sun, about 3 weeks before Freddie Gray was stopped, that Marilyn Mosby specifically asked police to target that intersection with enhanced drug enforcement. So she was telling the police, you know, amp it up.
Sure, and this is the key. She initially charged these officers with having an illegal knife or being Freddie Gray having an illegal knife or legal knife, I stand to be corrected, and therefore that would have made the arrest illegal. But they found out, from what I understand, that the knife itself was illegal. So what did she do? She dropped those charges. She backs off and she says now that the handcuffing was the illegal act. Greta, our viewers need to understand that you can run after somebody if you have reasonable suspicion. You can handcuff them and keep them temporarily. That is the law. So I don't know what law Miss Mosby is following.
Katie, your thoughts on this? And Katie, this whole idea that she had sort of amped up the police to tell them to get really aggressive there, which she was in her right to do that, but then she never tells us, I mean, that she did that, and sort of comes out now in the Baltimore Sun. She's got a little explaining to do. She told the police, you know, really go at it in essence.
She's kind of glossing over her previous actions prior to the arrest and death of Freddie Gray. I'm not exactly sure what she thinks is going to happen. It's like shouting fire in a crowded theater and then being upset when people get trampled on their way out. If you're telling and you're giving a directive courtesy of your division chief to sit there and watch this specific intersection where the police interacted with Freddie Gray initially, and Ted's totally right. The United States Supreme Court has allowed officers to chase a fleeing, unprovoked suspect in a high-crime area. You can't get any better than that in terms of the facts being on all fours of what happened in the Freddie Gray case. So Marilyn Mosby, now she has a problem with her faulty, defective gag motion where she wanted to gag everybody, and she filed it in the wrong place. The judge says you have no standing. He denies the motion.
Which, I mean, you sort of expect the state's attorney to know which court to file it in, but maybe that's just me. But
no,
you would think.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
She is the top prosecutor. She should know where to file a motion. And then I love how every single time she's getting called out for either her procedural defects or her substantively legal defects, her office says what? We're not going to try this case in the media. Well, guess what, Marilyn Mosby, you invited us into your home because you came into our home when you did that press conference and you made it personal. So you know what? It's in the media, so it's going to be tried in the media now.
You know, the sad commentary is just what you just said. We have two things that are fatal here. She files a gag order. She's a state's attorney. She files a gag order in the wrong court. She don't know the difference between a legal and illegal knife. Greta, let me tell you.
And she tells the police really rev up the policing in this area, and then when they do, now of course she didn't say, you know, she didn't want this to happen to Freddie Gray. Nobody did.
No,
but the
she
thing
never did.
It's that she's sort of silent about her role in this. That she was telling them to be aggressively policing.
She pokes the bear, and then she's surprised what happens. She pokes the bear, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that this ended up happening. I incited this from happening."
You like, give you the last word, Ted.
Well, she tells them to do that, to go out and police heavily, and then she charges them with a criminal crime. This is going nowhere fast. I can just about tell you that you are looking at a not guilty of all of these officers.
I don't know, but she ought to step. She needs to disqualify herself from this one. Anyway, Ted and Katie, if you'll stay with us.